Yeah, let's just try to get it to kind of reset on the Eagles talk. We haven't talked much. We were talking
We
Brandon
haven't.
Graham pretty much for the most part. We
It's Brandon Graham's last
jokingly
game.
we were jokingly talking about who would have more snaps, Bryce Huff or Brandon Graham. We both agree Brandon Graham.
Brandon Graham.
So then yeah, I guess let's just go from there and we'll act like nothing
And
happened and we'll have to edit that part out.
yeah, and we'll
Um,
we'll just have to So how about that Miles Garrett comments? How about
That's right.
that?
That's a good point. Yeah, let's pick back up for that too. Thank you, Keith. Miles Garrett. We both want Miles Garrett, and like to sum it up, I guess.
It's doable.
We both want him. We were talking first. I mentioned maybe two first round picks. You were mentioning Bryce Huff.
Nolan
Uh,
Smith, somebody like that.
yeah. Again, I wouldn't. I think Nolan Smith is way too high of an impact. I think it's
I would
much
agree too.
lower. If you're giving them two first round picks, that's the impact. Like you're not giving them a name. We're in a win now mode, so we're
Maybe
not gonna.
maybe Felix
We're
Hunt.
yeah. Again, like like low impact. Something that they might go. The player we're giving away picks. That's the value. So the players are just like a little throw in. It shouldn't be anybody that like we're gonna like lose a tier. Like at best, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. just because we have sentimental value. But like, yeah, it's not gonna be anybody that's like a name that's like in the
No,
starting
he's
lineup.
requesting a trade, which changes everything. And I mean, if you really want to look at something that was similar, there was the Khalil Mack trade from a few years ago uh, that did
It
occur.
was a couple firsts, right?
Yeah, I believe it was two. Yeah, here it is. It was two firsts, a third, and a sixth-round pick for Mac, a second-round pick, and a conditional fifth-round pick.
He was like 27 at the time, right? Do you have that up?
Yeah, he was 27. You
Damn.
are you are correct. That was spot on. I do have it up actually. But that was that. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what actually Adam Schefter had brought it up after Miles Garrett actually put a statement at. But yeah, it was when he was traded from Oakland to Chicago. The Bears got two first-round picks, a third-round pick, and a sixth-round pick for Mac, a second and a conditional fifth. So
I
they
would
got Mac a second and a fifth back for two firsts, a third, and a sixth.
I would say Khalil Mack younger and better at the time at that time than Miles Garrett is now. So again, I think that it would be
I would
couple.
say Mac's more talented, but he is older because he's 29. I was wrong. He's not 28. He's 29.
Okay, yeah. So again, I don't know that we'll have to give up that many picks. That's what they should start at. Like if I'm Cleveland, I'm going. That's what I want because that's like that is the baseline. I'm glad you brought it up.
Absolutely.
So again, I think a couple firsts, maybe a little bit more as far as draft stock goes. And then if you could get rid of Bryce Huff, that's like
Oh, that'd be great.
that's you know what I mean? That's a win-win because you're clearing cap space for Garrett as well.
That's a big part of it.
You could almost be like, I'll give you a extra pick or three. You know what I mean for taking Bryce Huff.
I mean, because Bryce
Uh,
Huff is also he's 26. He'll be 27 at the time that he's starting the season next year.
that's how
Like
you're selling it.
you know what I mean? He's a young player, and his contract isn't that bad of a contract. Like you're looking at somebody who had a 3-year 51, and one of those is already gone. So you're getting a very team friendly deal. In the next 2 years. And if you don't like him, you can move on. Plus, you have two firsts. Like, why not?
Yeah. Uh,
Maybe I'm just selling it because that's what I want myself.
it's a good sales pitch. I'll give you that, Keith. I'm like I'm sitting here going, all right, all right, all right. So all right, that's the future. Let's worry now about the now. And
Yeah, more importantly.
let's start talking about. By the way, thank you again. It's weird saying like Chunas,
Arway Tunis.
like. But yeah, thank. I think the Flyers just scored a goal right after the buzzer. Oh my god. I'm doing the show, so I'm not watching. But yeah, holy crap. Um let me see here. Let me see. I'm sorry. Oh no, they just missed. Just missed. But anyway, so Flyers lost. Um yeah, let's focus in on this game now, Keith, and I'll tell you this. I'll start with this, and then I'll let you run with it. As soon as the Eagles won the NFC Championship 2 weeks ago, as soon as the like as soon as they won, I said I want the Chiefs. I said I'm not over 2 years ago, and I want the Chiefs. Oh, I lost you now, Keith. I got you
I
back.
found what I did. There we
Got you
go.
back. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, no, I said for you that tracks. I'm 0% surprised that's who you wanted. I was rooting for Buffalo because I just, I tend to like Buffalo, so that's just an enjoyable game for me anyway. And I think that we would smack the crap out of the Buffalo Bills.
I
That's just my,
I
you know,
weirdly think that we match up better against the Chiefs personally.
I think you are correct in the sense that it is a better matchup for what we do, but it's hard to say, hey, I'm going to give Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes 2 weeks to plan for me and feel confident.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as about going into 2017 Super Bowl where you're looking at Tom Brady and Bill Belichick going, I feel good, but it's hard to feel overconfident given who I'm facing.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm not going to be able to breathe all Sunday. That's all.
Yeah, as it should be. I agree with that. Here's my biggest thing I would say as far as just like breaking it down, X's and O's, and I guess if we're still comparing Chiefs versus Bills too, um, obviously Mahomes is the ultimate X factor, and we have to deal with that. I think at this point though, Josh Allen can just make some throws that are just otherworldly, and I think that part could catch our defense off. I think if anyone has the stronger offense of the two, it's going to be the Bills. And I think that personally, our strengths match up pretty good against the Chiefs' strengths. I think we should be able to kind of regulate their run game and kind of force them to be one dimensional. Now, that one dimension is going to be exactly their strength, which this is going to be. They're going to do that just dink, dunk, and bleed us to death, very similar to what the Commanders were doing early on against the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. They're going to do that, and they're going to do that to perfection. The thing is, if that's the. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, yeah, that's what they do. I mean,
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes is good at taking what is given to him and dinking and dunking if he wants. I mean, obviously they have Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy who can at any point really just pop the game open with their speed and their impact. That is something that's a little different from how they operated last year. But at the same time, it's not as prolific as the 2022 team that we faced. I feel like their offense is not nearly as intimidating as that year.
Yeah. Completely agree. It's a different like even Travis Kelsey is not the same player he was in that last Super Bowl. I think that that's again where they're and that's what he'll still be able to do is get underneath and get open, and as long as we can keep it to not having what you were saying, those guys go over and go over top of you, uh then I think that this is going to be more in the Eagles' favor. And I think that that's our strength is Quinion keeping them in front of them. Darius Slay has had an amazing year this year. Cooper has had it and then of course you have CJ and Reed who are a very. I mean, I forget who. I think it was CJ said that they're the best in the league as far as safety goes. I don't know that they're the best, but they're a goddamn good one. They are up there, and it's weird for us as Eagles fans because for how outside of Dawkins, we didn't have a safety. Then it's all right, we got Malcolm Jenkins, and that was fantastic. now you have two in Reed and CJ. You have two wide receivers in AJ and Darius Slay. It's like feast or fathom. Like, I mean, we're really, like you said earlier, when no one could hear us, but we're living in like the golden age as far as being an Eagles fan. There isn't too many like peaks that have been really since most of our lifetime, Keith. And like I said, it started with Andy Reid's tenure and changing sort of the culture into a winning culture of this team, which Andy deserves credit for. But the championships really have came after him, and Doug Peterson brought it, and now I hope that Nick Sirianni is in his age to kind of start taking his step into that pantheon, if you will.
I agree.
But
I mean, as much as we want to give Sirianni crap for all the times that he acts the way he does and that he's too brash and too this, you know what? It's hard to argue with results. He's got plenty of wins, and I understand the talent's there and everything, but it's you got to give him his flowers too, just like you're giving everybody else their flowers. Like Saquon getting his Offensive Player of the Year award tonight.
What was
that is official. Yeah, as of 9
MVP.
It should be soon. They just did comeback player at 38. I got to see if it's anything else has come up yet, but I haven't seen it. But they have Joe Burrow as the comeback player of the year.
Does winning Offensive Player of the Year mean that he's not going to win MVP, or?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much them saying, yeah, hey, very nice year, but it's going to a quarterback.
Again, I'm not into that, because I do think that I think Barkley was the MVP this year.
I think it's hard to argue with that. It's very, very hard to argue with that, given the impact that he's had on this team. And we're going to see that on Sunday. We're going to see, the Chiefs really have been great against the run all year. However, when they played the Bills 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half, I suppose, up until they decided they just weren't going to run the ball anymore, Cook was absolutely tearing it apart, running on them. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of that on Sunday.
Yeah, I actually mentioned that during the game to one of the group threads that I'm in, but I was like, look at what Cook is doing against this team. Do you not think Barkley is going to do this and more? Because again, and Josh Allen was also, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I guess I could put them, but I think Josh Allen had like pretty good rushing stats in that game as well. And again, I'm never going to say that Hurts can throw the ball better than Josh Allen, but he can run the ball better than Josh Allen. And I would argue he's top 3 in rushing quarter, top 2. Like, I think it's Lamar and probably Hurts as far as is that crazy? Like, maybe,
no,
like
I don't think it's that out of the
quarterbacks. Like, I know Jaden Daniel and he's new, and he's got run, but like I think he did it this year more with his arm. I'm just trying to think of like quarterbacks that still have some, but like, Josh Allen's up there as well. I think that Hurts does it more than him. Mahomes, but again, Mahomes is like, he's more he's like more running to create. Like, he just runs around back in the pocket, waiting for them refs to throw the flag. Just
by the way, slightly off topic, but on topic from that, I do love the fact that all of the media have been absolutely roasting Mahomes and Travis with the favoritism of the refs conversation. I don't know if that's maybe the thing you should be doing at the Super Bowl.
Lazy. I gotta be honest. Like, I had so many people at work just being like, "Oh, we're gonna beat the Chiefs, but can we beat the refs?" And I'm just like, if you think that, don't watch the game.
Yeah,
like,
I don't, and I don't think that it's really necessarily.
I don't watch wrestling because I know it's scripted.
Mm-hmm. But no, I just find it a funny conversation that's been brought up at the I'm like, you're trolling them because this isn't like a real conversation to have. But it amused me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I just think every now and then we should have thoughts that are outside of the internet. Like let our own brain cells do the work. Um,
And that's why most of us do. But there are
do
trolls
we?
that.
Do most of us? Do most of us? I
All
think some
right,
of us
all right.
do. I
Like
think
a quarter of
I think
us.
both of the faces on these screens right now do. Thankfully. But no, I like to have fun here. We like to have fun here. But yeah, all right. So we were talking about keeping a tidy ship here tonight. So I'll start running a little faster through some points here, and we can kind of start moseying on out. Real quick, one more nonsense, and then we'll start talking games. What's your favorite Super Bowl performance of all time? Halftime.
You know what's funny?
And I'm hitting Keith totally on the spot right now. And
You
if
are,
you
and
need me to buy time and give you my answer too, I can do that for you. But
best ever or
your
recently?
favorite, your favorite. What's the best to Keith? It doesn't have to be. Oh, like just it
I
could be
gotta
recent. It
say,
doesn't have to be recent.
for certain reasons, I will say, I have to say Prince. I think the Prince halftime show might be the best one that I've witnessed.
You have rendered me useless because that's mine as well. All right, I'll go with Janet Jackson then.
That was going to be my other one because how do you go against something where you have live nudity and all that? Like if you're going, I mean, that's just like I was going to say for very different reasons. These are, but I also on the same vein, Katy Perry with Left Shark. Like that's memorable. That was fun.
Tom Petty was another good one I had in mind. That was like going real like back when
That's a good deep dive there.
The Chili Peppers was recent, but damn, they sucked. They weren't even playing, and it was horrible.
Yeah, well, they even said that and purposely made fun of the NFL for making them be recorded.
So, yeah, it was just like, yeah, I would say Prince for me. Like, dude, literally summoned rain, like playing Purple Rain or what? Like, I don't know.
I gotta say, and I understand that it's based on the producer who's under contract and all that for the NFL as to who's performing. I really have not been thrilled with any of them recently, other than the LA one with Dre, Eminem, and Snoop. That was fantastic.
That even had people like I don't even like everybody that performed there, and
I don't. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't necessarily like.
I hate Kendrick, and even he like sort of fit in making a bunch of noise.
He did.
He's a great lyricist, but all I ever hear from him is bap 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 bap. I'm like, where's his lyrics?
Like last year, like the Usher one, I was 100% out on. Like,
yeah,
the Rihanna one, I was fine with in the sense that she did great. She was very pregnant on stage, but she did great.
That's right.
She was. I mean, listen, I give her like that's when I go. You know what? I wasn't a huge fan of the show, but that being said, Rihanna put on a good show and like did choreography more pregnant than people usually do that kind of dancing. And I'm like, good for you. That's appreciated.
Yeah, the world did find out Rihanna was pregnant that day.
They did. I'm looking back. The Weekend, that was okay.
Yeah, that at least had a good production value. Not my style, but...
Shakira and J-Lo. I mean, I'm not going to complain about seeing Shakira on stage.
But yeah, all right. But yeah, I wanted to just get that one out of the way. But all right, now let's get back into it. As far as this game goes, I kind of feel like it follows the script as far as what we've seen from the Eagles most of this year. First half is going to be kind of the slow wind up, and I think, the third quarter is where you come out, you see those adjustments, and they start to take charge. And I think the fourth quarter is where we bring it home. I think this game kind of follows just the formula that we've seen. There's a very much been a winning formula for this team. When they stick to that, it works.
Very true.
That formula is get the ball going early and often. I think maybe in that first 15 you want to script a little bit of passing to keep them honest, but I don't I don't need to see. Like, I hear people trying to change that, and it's like, why now? What do we have to change now? Things have been great. Um,
I'll tell
so
you, I don't see any adjustments.
again, for me, it's real. Keep it as is, and going back to where those matchups and everything, I think that again, like you mentioned, we watched Cook just eat up that defense. What is Saquon gonna do? So I think Saquon's gonna have a big game. I think that Jalen is going to have a big game because he shows up in these things and he's made for this
Jalen.
moment. So I go back to that. I think that it comes down to not turning the ball over, winning that battle, which we've done many, like most games in particular, again, following that formula, the winning formula. Part of that winning formula for the Eagles is winning that battle. It might be a 1-0 win there, but if you win that battle, it's going to help. I feel like I'm going to throw up thinking about the game.
I mean, that's how you should feel.
But yeah, again, it's that, and I think that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are going to be able to get open when they need to. On those third downs, that's where you're really going to start to look to make the passes, and I just, yeah, I don't know. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, defensive rookie of the year, by the way, was Jared Verse over Quinyon and Cooper, but I'm not really surprised by that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to run through a couple things here since we were doing this. Comeback player, like I said, Joe Burrow. Offensive player was I just dropped out of my head. Offensive player was Saquon. Yeah. I don't know why that dropped out of my head because, but that's everything so far that we really care about. Waiting on assistant coach of the year, but I'm seeing some rumbling saying Vic was disrespected, so I'm assuming he lost. And we know that MVP, we're probably not going to see that happen. So, but more to the point, we've kind of said some things about the game, some things that I'm looking at, Anthony, for this game. I don't think the Chiefs are really going to run the ball worth a damn whatsoever. I can't see Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco doing literally anything against this defense. I mean, am I overconfident there?
No, like I think I started my rant with how we match up against them. I do think that we're going to make them one-dimensional, and that dimension is something they're really good at. But that dimension is we're going to force them to just be dink and dunk underneath. And guess what? If you have to if you have to put 15, 16, 17 plays in each time to score against us, each time you have to do that, what does it do for the Eagles and the Eagles defense? It increases your odds for them to make a mistake. And for every play that they have to do that, it increases their odds to make a mistake. And what happens then? You make an interception, strip sack, you knock the ball out of one of the running backs' hands, a fumble, a plethora of things over that time. So again, I just look at it as I'm not like going in thinking the Eagles are infallible and I'm already on Broad Street, but I do think that this matchup in particular plays into our hands. I mean, it's DeAndre Hopkins, Juju Smith-Schuster, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. None of these names are necessarily like, you know what I mean? They're good. They're worth respect, and that's a core between them. But I'm just looking at it like,
yeah, but think about it this way:
various,
targets for each one of these people that we're talking about. The 3 targets for Hopkins over the past 2 games for them. The 3 for Noah Gray, 3 for Hollywood Brown. 7 for Hollywood Brown. I made a mistake there. 4 for Smith-Schuster. But then Worthy and Kelsey, you got 12 and 13 targets a piece there. And that's who they're really going to be targeting. So you're going to be looking at those guys, which means Zach Bond might be having a busy day over the middle? Do we see Reed Blankenship, who had a very rough game against the Commanders? Do we see him still cover Kelsey, or are we going to switch things up? Like that's going to be the question. Like that's going to be the part that I'm curious about. But if that's who's doing your damage, Kelsey, 136 yards over 9 receptions, I I don't know they have enough juice to get everything done.
Yeah, and honestly, if I'm seeing that that's all they're going to, I'm just gonna go Coop, go stick them,
So
and I'll figure something else out, around it. You know what I mean? Like I will move coverages around. In my opinion, Cooper DeJean is the X factor here. In particular, with how we were just saying, well, if none of those other guys are getting the targets anyway, I will figure something out, and I'm just gonna whether it's now I'm just gonna have Reed play that spot or switching him around. Maybe you just play an extra uh, defensive back on the field and you have like 2 slot corners. But in my opinion, if I see Travis Kelsey is just eating us alive because it's against Zach Bond or against Burks, then I'm just like, bleep this. I'm going to just put and maybe that's too simple but in my opinion, I'm just going to have Cooper DeJean on him and we go from there. Which I think is very, very possible.
yeah, the only person I'm really worried about on that team other than Pat is definitely Xavier Worthy because of his speed. Like I get it. You know what I mean? Like I do get that. But I mean, if that's really the only person you're worried about, I feel like this Eagles defense was the number 1 defense for a reason. Like they have plenty to go with. They have plenty of players that can make an impact. And I'll be honest, I know they're talking about how Jalen Carter is going to have his hands full with his assignment. I don't trust anybody on that line to block Jalen Carter one-on-one, no matter what they want to say about, oh, well, he's an all-pro lineman. He can handle himself. No, I don't. I really don't care. I think Jalen Carter's going to eat on Sunday.
Yeah, I think they're going to want to double him, and they probably will. I think
And that leaves Milt open 1v1, and that's not good either for them.
Yeah, you got Milt, you got Jordan Davis, you have Nolan Smith, you got Brandon Graham. The options are there. So, yeah, I'm looking. I just can't wait, man. I want this game here so damn bad.
I think we all do.
Wish I could do a pregame show, but I gotta do. I'll be at work really up until game time, but thankfully.
Yeah, I'm gonna be cutting it close myself. My parents are coming back from Disney that day, and I have to pick them up from the airport. So that's gonna be dicey coming from Philly Airport all the way up there. They get in around like 4:30, somewhere in that range, and I'm like, we're gonna have to hustle.
Double time it.
That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, I guess we can start doing like thoughts on the game. You want to do like a bomb player?
Yeah, we can do a bomb player.
We'll try to start giving final thoughts and wrapping it up because I know we've got to work tomorrow.
Yeah, we all do, unfortunately. One more day of work, and then we get to just anxiously wait for another day until we can actually enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, for the normal world, I'm working every day until Monday.
Yeah, well, I get that. But yeah. I've been there.
Yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
Let's say one last thing that I got. Are you worried about the illness that's going on around in the Eagles locker room?
It doesn't sound too bad.
Q has laryngitis. Nolan Smith and Jalen have flu-like symptoms apparently.
Yeah. I mean, I hope not. I guess. I don't really want any built-in excuses for this game. Until they're like, oh, it's bad, then I won't panic. So I'm just hoping that the worst is happening now and they'll be all right. Shoot them up with some vitamin C. I don't know. But yeah, obviously I want my guys.
Shoot them up with vitamin C. I like that.
I don't know what to do. Yeah, obviously I want my guys to be 100%. It's a little concerning, but I'm not letting it stifle my vibes, if you will.
How many times have you played Madden this week?
Enough.
How many times have you simulated the Super Bowl?
Actually, I don't even do that, but it did happen so that my Madden season, I did play the Chiefs in my most recent Super
That's
Bowl.
pretty nice.
I took care of the business. Took care of business. But yeah, I'm not a person. I just like to stick to my franchise when it comes to Madden. But yeah, it's free time has been few and far between. But I did get that Super Bowl in recently, so that was good. But yeah, what are you thinking as far as bomb players go, or are you
I
feeling an Eagles win? We haven't talked about it. We haven't said it yet.
no, I think I kind of alluded to it by things I've said this broadcast, where I feel very similar to 2017, where I feel like we have the better team. Like I'm going into this week going, we have the better team, but it's hard to bet against that coach and that quarterback. So I'm nervous. Optimistically nervous, I guess is how I'd say it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, I'll let you pick your bomb player first, but I mean, where are you at as far as that goes? Like, I feel like we should win on Sunday. Like that's where I feel like, and I think it's going to be a close one. I think it is going to be a field goal game, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think if it's a close one, the Chiefs win. But I think the Eagles win on Sunday.
All right.
I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout, but again, I'm just following the formula to Eagles wins this year. Most of the time, by the fourth quarter, it's not that it's game over, but at some point in that fourth quarter, uh, our talent usually outmatches theirs at some point, and that's where we start to take control of things. I'm thinking not that it's going to be a 3 point win but I could see somewhere within the 10 to 14 range by the end of it. Just my opinion, my thoughts so far. I think if it's a close game, I feel like that's probably means it's the Chiefs. I think if it's a less close game, I think it's the Eagles. And it's been my biggest kind of swaying factor going into this game, and how come I feel like the Eagles can win, because I can't really see the Chiefs winning in a blowout. But I could see the Eagles winning in a blowout. Not that I'm saying that's how it happens. I've heard a lot of people on the radio bringing this point up, and it kind of pissed me off because I thought that I was being original with it. But that's like when I look at these two teams, that's where I see it, and I'm like, to me that makes me feel like we're the better team. And I know Mahomes has intangibles, but so does Jalen Hurts. And I think that it's time for Hurts to kind of show those. Not that he hasn't before. In fact, he's shown those intangibles most in the last time he's played in this game against this team. So I think that fuel is burning in guys like Jalen and guys like Nick that lost that last Super Bowl against this team. And I think the fact that it is the Chiefs plays to our advantage.
Oh, it absolutely does.
Bomb player,
Absolutely.
Bomb player, I go Brandon Graham. I like the story. It's the easy way out.
It's still not what I would have predicted.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that a lot. That leaves me all three of the people I was thinking about. I was hoping you were going to take one of them. That's tough. That's tough for me.
Your
okay.
three were Jalen Hurts,
Mm-hmm.
Saquon Barkley, Jalen Carter.
You are correct.
God damn.
That's what happens when we've known each other for over 20 years at this point.
Let's go. I will tell you, out of those three, the one that I was also thinking about picking was Jalen Hurts.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a great one to do because big game Jalen. Meanwhile, Barkley needs 30 yards to become the most rushing yards in a season, including postseason, to top Terrell Davis. Mm-hmm. But apparently that's not enough for Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith talking trash on a Eagles player. Go figure. Yeah, I got upset about that. I forgot to mention that earlier. I don't know if you heard about that, but Emmett Smith got asked, would that be the greatest if he won like Super Bowl MVP and broke the record? Would that be the greatest like season for a running back ever? And he's like, no, he's still not on the level of Terrell Davis or Eric Dickerson. And I'm like, well, that's hard to say because like he'd have more yards for the entire year than either of them combined. Well, not combined, but either of them for that, and he'd be a Super Bowl MVP. I will go with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is going to ball out here. I think Saquon's going to have a good game, but I think they're really going to be like, we want Jalen Hurts to beat us. We're going to take Saquon Barkley out as much as we can. Which, if you're going to play man to man against AJ Brown, I think he's just going to feast with Jalen Hurts throwing the ball. So that's my bomb player is going to be Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, the big thing for Hurts is going to be to pick up those blitzes pre-snap and to be able to read that, and that's something that I think Jalen does pretty well. So in particular, those pre-snap reads, I think he excels at for the most part. So
hey, he checked out of two of them in that Rams game that turned into huge runs.
Yep.
So I think that's 100% accurate.
Yeah, again, and we can go back to before we even knew what we were going to get out of Jalen Hurts, and I was like, I see Jalen Hurts at his best as being a game manager who can make plays, like a playmaking game manager, which sounds a little like contradictory, but moving forward now, that's kind of what we're seeing out of him. So, yeah, I mean,
well, like he says, he's not worried about his individual game. He's worried about doing what it takes to win.
Yeah.
You know, that's what he's there for. That's what everybody's here for. And I think that's, you know, what all the players, the difference between last time to this time, it's nothing new. And they're here for unfinished business. I think every single one has been going that way. Everybody who's been here before is definitely, this is unfinished business. We're back and we're finishing it this time, you know?
Completely agree with you, Keith, and I'm just ready to get there. Do you have any final thoughts? As I know we could sit here and talk all night, but
we could. My
I told
final
Keith
thought,
I'd get him out of here by 10, and it's 10:15.
we'll say, you know, it is bedtime, unfortunately. But I guess my final thought is, hey, just enjoy yourselves, enjoy the ride. We're on our final game here of the season. It's been nice to get here, and honestly, just have faith. Have faith that Uncle Vic's going to take care of the defensive side of the ball, unlike Jonathan Gannon did the last time. And hey, I mean, there's no Sodfather debacle to go with, so I think we're already in good shape.
Yeah. I got no final thoughts, chat. So just I'll free flow it, but I think this game is going to, like I said, it's follow the formula, stick to the script, and let's go out there and finish this thing.
Go Birds.
Have fun, go Birds, and be safe either way. So yeah, that's all I can say. Hopefully I'll see you out there on Broad Street next week.
That would be lovely.
But I got nothing else. How about you, Keith?
That is it. It is time for bed.
Did we round the bases? On that note, guys, thank you all for tuning in, both live and on demand. If you're watching us pregame Sunday to get you just amped, let's go. But again, I appreciate you guys all for tuning in and letting us know about the technical difficulties, sticking with us through all that. But I got nothing else. So with that, I am Anthony Pinto.
I'm Keith Malashevsky.
And we are out of here. Let's go, Birds.
Go Birds.